Welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, founder of Seven Figure Builder, where we help high-achieving CEOs connect with their dream clients to scale to seven figures and beyond. And I'm here today with my friend Peter Russell. Hey, Peter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from sunny England.
Wonderful. I love connecting with people all around. That's like part of the fun of doing this. So for people that haven't had the pleasure to meet you yet, can you tell us a bit about your business?
I'm a sales trainer and business consultant, making sure businesses get everything they need in order to get what they want. So sales training is working with teams of people, maybe sales, operations often, and also business consulting is the other side of the same coin, making sure the business is structured in the right way in order to continue growing and progressing and operating at the peak of its efficiency.
Wonderful. And I love both sides of that conversation. So I'm excited to dig into them both with you. But let's start with sales, because that's where most people probably feel the most uncomfortable, because it's not something that comes easily to most people. Is that a fair statement?
And yes, and there's a very good reason for it. Like, go back to your early years. What did your parents tell you? Don't talk to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Strangers have everything you would ever want. Your job, your money, your car, your house, your holidays. They even have your new best friend's phone numbers. But you don't know these guys are your new best friends because you haven't met them yet. So if you want anything more in your life than you already have, go and talk to strangers.
It's funny how that's transitioned, right? Like, don't talk to strangers, don't get in the car with strangers. Now we call strangers up and go hop in their car and go off to wherever the heck they take us, right? Like, the world has certainly changed.
Literally, but it's an evolution process, which has been started, like 200 years ago by the Industrial Revolution. And suddenly the whole needed to realign. It's some kind of a shock, which is comparable to recent COVID-19 pandemic, where simply, okay, before you had a few skilled people who did some craftsmanship, some really skilled work, but most of the people were completely operating in feeding themselves or producing for the rest in a way which trickled down to anyone who needs it. When machinery came by, suddenly requirements changed, and those who were business owners, they were trying to replace people with machinery, but found out actually it's not possible. So the next level to this was, all right, I need people, but different people. Now I need people who are able to operate the machinery. They need the skill. They need to read, communicate, write, calculate, and simply guess what happened? Education system has been born. So simply suddenly schools starting popping up, making sure kids know how to teach, how to read, write, and calculate, so they can actually take those jobs and operate in this new world. And we are still stuck in the same setup, same system. Problem with this is that this system has been engineered to produce workers, but it doesn't produce visionaries, leaders. Hence, most of the highly successful people on this planet today are college dropouts, people who never went to school in the first place, etc., because they never had actually a chance to pick up all of those bad habits or get kind of misshaped by the education.
Yeah. And I remember reading something somewhere that, like, the most successful entrepreneurs, like you said, either have dropped out of college, dropped out of high school, had a C average, like they weren't fitting into that perfectly square box that we have as an educational system. It wasn't geared.
100%. Even the sayings we have, like you have to think outside the box.
Right.
It's kind of stupid because most people don't understand it. Well, first of all, they don't have the box in the first place, or they don't see the box they've been put in. Yeah. So what actually the education system created is rigged people's minds. And when this happens, when simply your creativity is completely sidelined, and the only task you actually have in your life is always the pleasing the next person above you, how can you actually reach your full potential ever in your life this way?
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing missing is sales, right? Like we encounter sales in so many opportunities in our lives, from buying a car to buying a house to, you know, entrepreneurship to business, to no matter what you're in, you're going to come across it. And it's something certainly not covered, at least in the US, in our training, you know, in our education. So I imagine it's like there as well.
Oh, absolutely. But there's a lot more to it. What most people don't understand about sales is, like, no matter what our career is, we're all in sales. Sales isn't just something, okay, I'm going to the shop or I'll meet someone who will try to flog me something. Even the simplest get in your way is literally selling an idea to someone, isn't it?
It is, for sure.
So if you are good in sales game, you are actually more often than not getting your way. And this ultimately leads to actually making a lot more money than anyone else, because simply you have figured the critical system, you know how it operates. And if you're able to get your way, then people are like, okay, well, I like this. Here's my money.
Exactly. And what would you say is a critical shift in mentality for most people? Like, most people, you know, they think of sales in a particular manner, but to your point, it's all in our life. So how do people shift their mentality to feel more comfortable with that?
It all happens when you will decide that you want to become a pro. Most people tend to think that, okay, the longer I'll do this, I'll figure it out. Well, unfortunately, there's no way to figure it out. There's things you already know. There's things you don't know and you're aware of it. So you can either sit down and try to figure it out, or simply you will do something long enough so you'll figure these things out. But there's another completely different level, which is a lot bigger than all of those two previous combined, which is things you don't even know you should know.
Right.
And you can't figure those out.
Right. Unless you study somebody else.
Precisely. So it's all about, all right, well, I'm successful up to this point. Well, I know my potential is higher than this. I can do better. All right, well, now I need to become a professional. Therefore, okay, within sales, what do you need to do, right? First, understanding there's a process. So human psychology dictates the way we make decisions. Did you know about it?
I love to geek out in this stuff, so please do share.
So if you already understand that human psychology is the thing you need to know and understand, well, you go and study human psychology. But if you don't, you'll be like, oh, I'm not going to be a therapist, therefore why bother?
Right.
Yeah, so simply having all of those boxes ticked, understanding how we are making decisions, what's the most efficient way of taking a person from a point of, I know nothing about you and I don't even know why should I listen to you, to, oh, wow, I love it. Here's my money.
Right.
Okay? So there's a process to it. And if you know what the sequence is, you are not doing anything salesy. You literally just satisfy people's need for information. And when people will learn something new, it prompts their curiosity and say, hey, okay, what else is there to learn? All right, I want to know more. Oh, how about this? How about that? And suddenly they're, oh, I actually love it. I know and understand how this thing, what you do, fits into my world, into what I'm doing, how it can benefit me. And literally the amount of money you're asking for is a lot less than the cost of a problem I'm facing, it's a no-brainer. There's zero objections, there's zero barriers. People will just start chasing you and wanting the thing you do.
Exactly. And what are some tips and techniques for people to kind of make that transition and get to that end point where people are throwing their money at you?
Okay, well, first of all, commitment. You need to commit and say, all right, I will be a great salesperson. I will be a professional. By going professional means you will spend a lot of time studying psychology, sales process, the ways to communicate, ways to understand people's face expressions, how to communicate, improve your communication skill to a point. All of these things you need to learn, and you will learn on your way to becoming a professional. So simply, there's very little that will surprise you, because within the sales process, you have already covered, you've done the fact finding, you know exactly what the person wants, what are the needs, what are the absolute must-haves, and simply considering, all right, higher package, lower package, all right, if it's more expensive, but it's going to get you to your result a lot quicker. How about this? Okay, well, sounds good. Let's do it. Let's try. How would that look, etc., etc. So when you know and take people on this journey of learning how you can get how they can get what they want by using your product and service, this is actually it.
Yeah. And understanding what their key desire is and how whatever it is that you're doing, your service, your product, whatever can meet that need is huge. I know when
Precisely.
I first started, I really struggled with sales. Like that was just a huge thing in my mind that I had to overcome. And I just felt like I didn't want to be that sleazy salesman.
Everyone does.
Yeah. And it did not come natural to me at all. I just dug into every single resource I could possibly get my hands on of all the big names that I could just absorb and learn and figure out the gaps that I didn't understand. And the more I looked at it as helping people instead of selling people, like selling to people, right? Like that totally shifted the way I looked at things and made it a whole lot easier for me.
Precisely. So studying others is the way forward. Also, understanding that the environment you come from already gave you everything it can.
Mm-hmm.
So you are at the end of the potential in the setting you normally operate.
Right.
When I set up my first business, I did something what most people wouldn't even think of or dare. I was a middle-class child. So my parents were mid to high five figures earners, and simply everything in our life has been revolving around that setting. When I have gotten to a point where I need to make a decision, okay, what I'll be doing in my life, what I'm going to be doing, I was like, okay, I understand my parents are professionals at the peak of the industry. Mm-hmm. Performance, their really capacity is very well recognized, but it took them 30, 40 years to get there of really hard work, hard grind, and they didn't really get that much in return.
Right.
So I'm like, well, okay, so being in the five figures is not really where I want to be. Okay, level up, six figures. It's not that much of a difference. Yes, you need to choose a profession where it's possible, like really highly paid professions out there. But again, not something I did fancy. So, all right, my goal was 8 figures. Mm-hmm. Brilliant. So how do you make 8 figures? Never even met or seen anyone like this. But what I understood in principle in my mind was that the way my parents would advise me going about it wouldn't work. This was absolutely clear to me.
Yeah.
So the only solution was to actually go out there and find a multimillionaire ready and willing to share his time and experience, expertise with me to show me how to actually do this. And I wasn't completely unprepared. I knew what I want to do, how I want to do it, and I even did the numbers. But because I never experienced anything remotely close to these numbers, I couldn't say whether it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this guy and say, hey, okay, I understand you are a highly successful businessman. You are really, really well known. Wherever I go, I see your businesses. Can you actually take a look at this plan and validate it for me? And is it going to work? Well, this person was really intrigued by this because never ever came across like this. And I kind of represented the ambition he wanted to see in his son, who was just a few years older than me. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, let's sit down and take a look. In about 10 minutes, he told me, well, fine. If you are ready and willing to put the amount of effort that will take to make it work, it will work. This was what I was looking for. Mm-hmm. And on that day, actually, with this person, I have made a decision that steered the next decade of my life.
Wow.
And using his validation and support, I was able to make my first 7 figures ever in that first ever business in under a year.
Wow, that's amazing.
So this is the qualitative change that can be achieved and will be achieved if you surround yourself with the right people.
100%. Absolutely. And it's awesome that he was willing to work with you, right? Like you had just gotten to know him, but he was willing to be open and transparent with you and help guide you in that.
He understood one thing, and this is you can teach skills any time, any day you want. It's extremely difficult to teach attitude, which I already had. So he's like, okay, fine. Well, this guy is has a big vision, is clearly driven, willing to do anything. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. So it didn't take a lot of his time. I literally spent with him probably 2 hours a month, but it was enough for me to provide validation for my ideas, for my actions, what I wanted to do, and simply heading into the right direction and having the ability to bounce the plan of a person who knows exactly what he's doing because he's done this before many, many times, is the ultimate game changer for you because it's so easy to get lost in the process. And you have seen this, I bet, so many times where people simply start a business, they go out there, and a few months down the road, they are already like completely lost. It was all great at the beginning. Now they don't know what they're doing. They are completely disorganized, and it's not their fault.
For sure. And so what did that journey look like for you, throughout that process?
You mean the next decade of that business?
Yeah.
Well, this business did amazing things for me. Took me around the world. Started doing business on an international level pretty much a few months into this first business, and it gave me access to a lot more successful people. Those connections, that proximity, that resource which they represent is key. Because even if, take it from the general perspective, if you have massive feast, there's really, really successful people around the table, everyone's having fun, there's a lot of stuff going on that table, a lot of food, drink, etc. there's enough breadcrumbs falling off that table for everyone who's around, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. And this is precisely what I did. So the proximity to those people, association with those people, and access to their acquaintances and friends gave me what I needed so I could leverage what I already have in a way which no one else was able to. That was the thing. So I ran this business for 10 years until I came to a point where my requirements changed. And this is the thing which most entrepreneurs are totally unprepared for. You know, you start a business, you go in it and say, hey, this is going to be great. This is going to be an empire, and everything's going to be built around me, and simply it's going to be great, because you will kind of build yourself a little cult around you, isn't it? The problem is when you start to be bored, and I see this, you have seen this for sure before, when these people are in that business for 15, 20, 25 years, they're bored to their teeth and they want out. But because everything is built around them, there's no way out.
Right. Absolutely.
So the same thing happened to me. Simply, I started a family. We started having kids with my wife, who actually was a partner in this business. I actually set this business up with my girlfriend, who a few years later became my wife. To date, still is. And we started to have a family, kids. Our requirements changed. Our life changed, because suddenly there were different little people around us who had their own requirements. And we were like, okay, this business, the way it operates, we don't really see that it can cater for the requirements we have now. Okay. So decision was made, we need to part with this business, what's largely inconceivable for most people, because they will suddenly lose that cult around themselves, etc., etc. And often, because it's all set around them, everything stands and falls with them. Therefore, when this person leaves the business, there's literally no business. And that brings me to where I am today as a consultant, because I had this experience where simply I have built a business which could not operate without me. Therefore, I had to close it down, say, okay, that's it. It was great, but it's over. Yeah. Next. So if you are thinking of building a business you can exit from, you need to build it in a very specific way, and you need to know very well what is it you're building in order to avoid the pitfalls which are so easy to fall for along the way, that there actually is something to sell. It's not just you finding the ultimate way of trading your time for the highest amount of money possible.
Absolutely. So how have you done it, we'll say, better this time, or more intentionally this time? What does it look like for you?
Okay, this time it's all about a product, which is sales training and consulting, and process. One thing which every entrepreneur will come to learn at some point is there has to be a process to everything you do. That's the only way you can actually be efficient and have fixed not only costs in money, but also fixed costs in time, because you have established a process that allows you to say, okay, well, if you are coming to me and you want to set up a high-performing sales team, I can tell you, all right, for the organization of your size and your industry, laying the foundation of this will take 3 to 6 months, where simply the team you already have needs to be properly assessed. Your business has to be refined into a process we can say, all right, anyone out there, if they would follow this same sequence of steps, will achieve the same result as the top producers in your team right now. And this is in every business, every successful business out there on this planet today. Take, I don't know, simplest example, everyone would know, McDonald's.
Right.
Imagine something happened and all of the McDonald's employees had walked out this very second. For any other business, or for like 99% of businesses, it would be a total liquidation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have lost your employees, you have lost your know-how, you have to start from scratch again. Well, guess what? McDonald's has a set process for everything. This is how you wash the salad. This is how you chop the tomatoes. This is how you assemble the burger, etc., etc. Yeah? So simply, this is how we do fries. So for them, it's a matter of, okay, we're hiring. Come on, look, we're going to pay you some money. Within 7 to 14 days, these guys will be back where they were, because it only takes a fresh batch of people and tell everyone, okay, you will be washing the salad. This is the way. Precisely, this is the way we want you to do. And this person does nothing else. Fries, the same, chopping, assembling, etc., etc. Yeah? So simply, this is the only way how there's actually a business. Because the process which is established in this business allows this business to be not only successful in exchanging the product or service you have for the money clients have because they want your product or service, it allows you also to be sustainable. Because you also know that this person will wash the salad every single day, precisely the same way. It will take him or her precisely this amount of time, and you can actually calculate and scale.
Yeah. Well, and the only thing you can count on that's consistent is change, right? So the more you have
to a point,
right, but the more you have the processes set up, thinking your employees are going to change, it was what I was referring to, right?
Yes.
So the more you have the more you have the systems and processes set up, then you can absorb that change and be able to maintain consistency in your business. So that's so powerful.
So regardless of who's doing the job, you know exactly it takes 5 days to train someone in, I don't know, chopping tomatoes or frying the fries or whatever. It probably takes about 2 hours, but hey, let's be generous. So simply, if you know that you can replace any person within 2 hours or 5 hours or 5 days, you can, your business can sustain almost any outside change because you know exactly what's going to happen on the inside. So your business will be successful, sustainable. With the process, this is the only way actually making the business scalable. By adding more salad people, adding more fries people, etc., etc., you can produce more, therefore sell more, earn more, and raise your profits. So simply, this is how I am building my business now, where I'm establishing a process in a way which is okay. High performing sales team, brilliant. No matter where you are today, first thing, what your team needs to understand, sales fundamentals. Okay, 1 day of training. These are the things. This is what the sales process is. This is what's actually about. Okay, next, understanding buyer psychology. It's going to take you X amount of days, and this is how it applies to your business. Then building a sales process. Brilliant. Okay, what industry you operate in, what are the requirements, what are your clients' expectations, etc., etc. So simply building those things in a way which allows me to go out there and bring clients in, and just hand the work to someone else. And hey, here's a course on sales fundamentals. Go out there, deliver it, have fun with these people. This is what I'm doing differently today to the business I built, to my first business. And even back then, I had a process. I just didn't know about it. And this was the actually still is the most mind-blowing thing to me. That I was drinking my own Kool-Aid and thought, oh, how great I am. And I literally just served every person who walked in the same way. Hi, welcome. What is it I can get you information for? What is it you're looking for? How can we help? And simply just asking the same sequence of steps with every single person, doing it the same way, made it highly replicable. Mm-hmm. And actually very easy for me. And I was doing it without knowing it. This is the thing. This is what differs professionals from amateur. Mm-hmm. In the first business, I was an amateur doing a good thing, but not knowing it.
Right.
Now I'm intentionally going about it, which allows me to reach even better results in the same time frame I was able to do before, because simply now I know exactly what it takes, how to structure these things, and how to satisfy requirements way bigger than I would ever be able to deliver myself, because now I have a bunch of other professionals around me and say, hey, okay, you do this, you do that. This is the schedule, how simply you will operate along each other, because they are not doing the same thing. And this is how actually business should be built. And this is the only reason why hyper successful people today, or even in the past, never get satisfied with one business. They run multiple businesses, 10, 20, 50. There's literally a term of what is it, successful entrepreneur, or how do you refer to these people?
I'm losing the word as well. Multifaceted.
Yeah, my mind literally just got blank. But there's a term in which we refer to Elon Musk's, Jeff Bezos's of this world, etc., where simply they build and operate a number of businesses at the same time, seemingly effortlessly, because they figured out, okay, well, I am the person, I'm the leader sitting on top of the pyramid. I have built the pyramid by design. So when I have a vision, I'll talk to the people on the level underneath me. They will break it down to goals, targets. Then the team underneath is going out there and executing it. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, well, they have that repeatable process that they can do over and over, and no matter what the business is, it'll succeed.
Precisely. And they are only those leaders, and sitting on top of 2, 3, 5, 6, 10 pyramids is very easy, because you are not bogged down in the operation, in delivering the product or service. Yeah, so simply this is why and how those who have figured this out can suddenly expand in such a rapid way that it's totally mind-boggling. It's because they have figured out, okay, this is a process, this is how we do it, and they just go and repeat it every single time.
Yeah. So having that new perspective and accomplished so much across multiple businesses, mm-hmm. What does success look like to you?
Success doesn't have a specific shape. That's the great thing about it. This brings me to the conversations we had as kids. When you are in that testosterone race, and okay, who's the greatest? Yeah, who's best?
Right.
And when you reach, okay, this is infinity. Okay, well, how does infinity look like? There's always infinity plus one, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then the other person says, okay, I am infinity plus infinity. Okay, well, totally different conversation to be had, yeah? But this is precisely it. Success is when you are on a journey, which is growth journey. You are growing as a person, you are learning new things, you are building new, better skills. You always have a sense of progress. That's success, where there's always a potential to build another level at top of where you already are. That's success to me. And that's where most people who just happen to make a lot of money, where they fail. You see those millionaires, multimillionaires, stars from music, film, whatever. They have done something amazing. They have made a lot of money, but then there's like kind of dead end to it. Mm-hmm. They can't grow infinitely. And they start to get bored. There's no sense of progress anymore because, all right, what's the difference between winning 1 Oscar, 2 Oscars, 5 Oscars? Okay, how many of them you can have? Yeah, like right. You will get bored eventually. Eh? And doing things just for the sake of getting another Oscar is, well, not really fancy anymore. So they distract themselves, often either drug or drink themselves to death or lose it all because there's no sense of progress. There's no next goal, next level. And so this is what success means to me. And one thing which I would want everyone on who's listening to your podcast know and understand is that entrepreneurship is the most rewarding, yet the toughest personal development program available on this planet. It's all about your personal development. It has nothing to do with business or money or anything. It's about how high and how fast you can grow in order to be effective operating at a level where you really want to get.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's all about that continual lifelong learning, continual progression, continually pushing yourself to that next higher level to reach whatever it is that you want to accomplish. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
The most important, while still having fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Because when you are having progress, okay, you are making more money. Okay, you can dominate this planet, own everything, own it. Okay, would this be fun? No, not really. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's the element of growth, but also fun and not forgetting about the latter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
Well, I'll tell them, do not be scared. There is actually more people out there scared of success than there's people scared of whatever their today's experience is, no matter how bad the situation is. Do not be scared. Your relationship with failure can be changed and should be changed ASAP. And I'll try to do it for you today. Remember one thing. You cannot ever lose. It doesn't exist. You'll either win or learn. You'll just find out, okay, well, this way doesn't work, but it will work in a different way, right? Let's not get discouraged. Let's not get let's not feel down about it, right? Let's see what else we can do. What's the other way of doing so? And this is also a way how to have fun, looking at it from a perspective of, all right, well, I found a way how something doesn't work. Great. Yeah. So it's all about this. It's all about understanding that failure isn't permanent and you shouldn't be scared of what you can achieve, even if it's going to be difficult, because what you still could achieve and the potential you could reach, like reaching your full potential, is the thing which will keep you going no matter what.
Yeah. And the key is with those failures, not taking it personally, right? If it finds something that doesn't work, it's not you as a failure. It's you've realized something could work better. So go ahead and do it.
Indeed. You can actually fail. There's one way you can fail permanently. And this is when you actually quit.
Right.
That way you solidify the last result you got Say, okay, well, this is it. This is the point where I failed. All right, let's build a pyramid on top of it, so everyone will remember 6,000 years from now, and and put a massive writing on it. But if you don't quit, you cannot really fail, isn't it?
Yep. Continual progression. So how can listeners support you in your work? Where can they find you online?
Right. If you want to find me online, LinkedIn is the best place. Search Peter Russell, straight to number one. And may you fancy working with me, just drop me a line. We'll see what we can achieve together. I'm always looking for new and interesting people. I'm building a success community around me. I have this vision where simply I want to fill up a stadium like we see in a football match, for example, or whatever kind of sport. Like in London, the biggest stadium is Wembley. Probably 80,000 people would fit in there. So I want to fit 80,000 people I have helped to build a successful business into that stadium on one day.
I love that. I love that. That would be such a cool experience to just be surrounded by people's lives that you've transformed and just made a huge difference for them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So establishing a global movement. And one day we will meet in London, celebrate together.
I can't wait to be there. Well, thank you, Peter.
It's going to be a massive party.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on today. This was a lot of fun to chat with you today and just understand the full depth of what you do in your world and the impact you have on people.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. And that's how people find us. And you can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.